What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy, UnclefOOlio, and I'm back with another episode of The Kontroversy, ladies and gentlemen. As always, these episodes are sponsored by Nothing But Knicks. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Also, hit the notification bell to be notified of any new content that we have for you. Pre-game coverage, post-game coverage, Queens Court videos, controversy videos, Knicks and Bruises videos, the NBA report with my guys, some still Knicks fans. We have it all, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, we give you the pregame and postgame coverages as well. We'll talk about any new trades that might be happening. The trade deadline is fast approaching. February 10th, that's about 3 weeks from now. And what are the Knicks going to do, ladies and gentlemen? Are they going to, stand pat? Are they going to make a minor move, or are they going to swing for the fences, right? I have my guy Andy here with me, and we're going to talk about some of these trades that you guys submitted from last week's show. You guys submitted to us via Twitter. We're going to shout you out, and we're going to critique your trades. So we have about 5 or 6 trades or so that we're going to talk about that was submitted from you guys, and I thank you very much for those submissions beforehand. And we're going to break those trades down. Once that's done, we're going to talk directly about Julius Randle. Should the Knicks trade Julius Randle? Should they consider it? Why would that be a good idea? Why would that be a bad idea? And if they decide to do so, what can we get back for him? So I'll just bring my man Andy in here with me, and let's get it started. Andy, what's going on with you, my man? How you doing?
Yo, what up, Josh? Happy to be on with you again on this episode, with the trade machine stuff going down. I love this topic, so I'm happy to be on with you.
Yep. I appreciate you for being here. And as always, we want to thank Fanspo, the people at Fanspo.com for their trade machine and for their tool to help us try to figure out what the Knicks can do. Giving fans a better idea of what the salary cap is about, the NBA salary cap, and helping people understand that we can't make these trades in a vacuum. These 2K trades, so to speak, there's a lot of cap rules and cap implications that go with it. So a big shout out to Fanspo for their trade machine and what they're allowing us to do and for sponsoring this video as well. Andy, as you know, we had some submissions that came in over the last week or so. Immediately after the show, my inbox was filling up with trades. Some good, some bad, but we're going to talk about them. I'm gonna critique it a little bit. You're gonna critique it a little bit. Let me know what you like, what you don't like, and then we'll just take it from there. So, are you ready?
I am ready, Josh.
All right. So the first trade comes at us from LES Daily 1. Thank you for the submission. This is the trade that he proposes. This gives us Jalen Brunson. Okay, so essentially, the Knicks received Maxi Kleber and Jalen Brunson in this deal. The Knicks will be giving away Kemba Walker, Nerlens Noel, Obi Toppin, and 2 second-round picks in 2023 and 2024. The Knicks obviously have an abundance of second-round picks. But Andy, based off this deal, tell me what you like about this deal and what you don't like about this deal. And a big shout out to LES Daily 1 for submitting it straight to us.
Yeah, Josh. Listen, this was one of a trade that actually looked good because we were targeting Jalen Brunson, right?
Right.
The addition in this trade in Maxi Kleber is a stretch big man that we also need. In this deal, we don't trade, Mitch Robinson, which is a great situation if we wanted to resign him after the season. And we don't give basically any of our big parts of the team, meaning RJ, Julius, and the rest of the main guys. No, probably the biggest the biggest player that we're giving up is Obi Toppin, but as even the Queen said, Steph herself, if we're not going to give him minutes, he basically won't be, greatly developed under the Knicks and behind Julius Randle because
he's expendable. He will be expendable at that point. Yep,
he will be exactly expandable, and having a guy with that kind of talent and even skill set, someone's going to say that it's not that big. Listen, if he's going to be playing 8 to 12 minutes, he won't be able to show out that whole skill set that he has currently even. So it's hard to judge him, but if we're not going to give him the chance, better get at least something back for him.
Okay, and I agree with that. I definitely think that Obi Toppin, for me, like Queen said, and like you're saying right now, I definitely wouldn't mind including Obi in some trades. I know a lot of Knicks fans are high on him, right? But that goes to show you why the Knicks drafted him, right? I totally understand that the pick at the time was to get Haliburton to improve the point guard position. right? But at the time, the Knicks were devoid of talent, and we need to have as much talent as possible on this roster. At the time, I don't think they were sold on Julius Randle as of yet, and that's the reason why they made the move to draft Obi. But like you said, if he's not going to play, then there's no sense of keeping him around. And I think if Knicks fans are as high on him as it seems, then I think another team will be high on him as well, right? So I don't mind moving Obi Toppin in any kind of deals, particularly if he's not going to play. Think about it. He played 18 minutes the last game. He didn't score, right? And he doesn't rebound the ball that great. He's definitely a kind of a lightning in a bottle kind of guy, but he needs a point guard to be successful, right? He can't go out there and create his own shot. He's not, that kind of player as of yet. So I wouldn't mind including Obi in these deals. The only thing I guess that turns me off about this deal, I do feel like we're giving up a little bit too much in this trade. I think this would be a scenario that would be for like a sign and trade kind of thing in the offseason. If the Knicks were able to pull this off, I don't see them making this kind of trade at the deadline because I feel like we're giving up too much at this current point in time, and we can't do a sign and trade during the season. If I'm correct, is that right? I don't think we can.
Yeah,
we can do that.
That's
right.
Correct.
Right. So and then the money also has to match up. What's that Kleber's making? What's that? I can't see the exact number right there on my screen.
8.9.
8.9. So yeah, you're bringing in $10 million and you're getting rid of 25, right? Or roughly around that much. So are we willing to pay Jalen Brunson $25 million? I don't think that's the case there.
The report is, Josh, that he's looking for something around 20 million, right? And if he's going to, reach the free agent market,
right.
If he's going to get that, that's the other thing, because
right.
I'm not sure that there are plenty of teams in need of a point guard and that are willing to sign basically a guy after a rookie, contract to a 20 million contract. So,
right.
I think it might be something that he's going to get around 16, 15 million per year. And I would be, kind of, wouldn't hurt my heart to pay someone that amount. Basically, maybe not unproven is a bad word, right? But I think, 20 million for a guy just after a rookie contract is, a tad too much. And for this front office, I think it ain't going to work like that.
Gotcha. Now I agree with that. So we'll see. I think this trade is pretty decent. It's kind of decent. I would definitely entertain this deal. Like, there's nobody in this trade that I wouldn't want to be in it. Like, I have no problem with trading Obi if we can bring back Jalen Brunson. We also get Maxi Kleber back, who's a stretch big. I do question whether Dallas will be willing to part ways with Maxi Kleber. I know he's from Germany. He's Dirk Nowitzki's boy. I know Dirk Nowitzki still has a big role within that Mavericks organization, so he may not want Maxi Kleber to go. And I think Maxi Kleber is a favorite of Mark Cuban. So let me just look at some of these comments in regards to this trade. Shout out to the chat. Thank you guys for joining me. We got 205 people currently watching us right now. Please get those likes up. Like this video. And post your comments in there. Post some stuff in the comments. I'm definitely going to get to you. But salute to George James. He says, George Jones, I'm sorry. He said Dallas would be foolish to make this trade. Okay. Soul Safe Production says Obi Toppin should not be in any trades. I don't agree with that at all. I think if Obi Toppin is not going to play, I see no reason of keeping him here right now, particularly if we can go out and improve at a position that we do need, right? Deber says that Mavs would never do that silliness. All right. Geraldine MacGyver, salute to you. He said she says the only person that the Knicks need to trade is Tom Thibodeau. Okay. So say Productions double down. No one should be talking about trading Obi. Wayne Tipton said Obi can go. And let's see. And then G Robinson says, I'll take Brunson to start until we can get a starter. Okay. So, kind of a little bit of mixed emotions. We got some people out there that don't want to trade Obi for anything. And then you have some people that will definitely entertain that. Entertain it. I think, listen, I am not afraid to put Obi Toppin in any deals. At all. As a matter of fact, I'm not afraid to put anybody on the Knicks in any deals, particularly if we can get better. And I think for right now and for the future, Jalen Brunson, for me, I think he solidifies that point guard position. He doesn't need the basketball to be successful. He can play off the ball. He has some heart, right? He has New York ties to the organization, and I think he'll play right away. And that trade is pretty decent for me. Shout out to LES Daily One for that trade. We really appreciate that. All right, the second trade we're going to talk about is going to be from, let's do this one. This one is going to be from my man Cassius Clay. Cassius Clay gave us this trade. This one gives us Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Okay, so the Knicks receive in this trade Paul Watson, who's a two-way player. Aaron Wiggins, who's another two-way player from Oklahoma City, and obviously the big name in this trade is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He'll be going to the Knicks to fill our point guard position. And then we'll be giving up Alec Burks, Evan Fournier, Mitchell Robinson, and 2 first-round picks, one from this year and obviously one from next year, which is going to be the Dallas pick that Oklahoma City receives. So I'll go first with this one, Andy, and then I'll let you come on in. So for me, I don't think this is going to happen. I don't think Oklahoma City is going to part ways with their franchise player. And, you know, I know Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, it would be nice to have him here, but I just don't see Oklahoma City trading him just for 2 first-round picks. They already have an abundance of picks already, right? And I don't see how this makes them better for the long haul. Burks is going to be a contract that's going to be expiring after next season. Mitchell Robinson, they can sign him long-term, try to get him signed to a contract, but I don't see how Oklahoma City trades away their foundation just for more draft picks. I don't really seeing that happen. And then I'll comment on the some of the comments that are down here in the Fanspo section once you finish, Andy. But what do you think about this trade?
Yeah, I'm with you, Josh, and I think probably most NBA fans think that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander isn't there's actually no trade package for him to get traded from the Thunder unless he asks for a trade, and he right. And I don't think he's in a position to ask, but we said that after before the season about Ben Simmons, and he's blackballing, we don't know if he's blackballing himself or the 76ers or who's right. He's making look worse. but unless Shai does pulls a Ben Simmons thing, I don't see this trade happening. And listen, he just signed an extension, so he's locked in for OKC as far as I see it. And yeah, as far as the numbers work, I don't think as an OKC GM, I would pick up even the calls. I would just turn them down after someone says Shai's name.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I agree with that, Andy. And again, so these comments down here. So it says Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has what they call a poison pill contract. What that means is just because he signed the extension to extend him, Oklahoma City is only taking a $5 million cap hit if they trade Shai right now, and the Knicks will take on $29 million. So that's what he's getting per season after this season, right? So for the Knicks, I don't mind that per se because we know the type of player Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is. But again, that's just the benefit for Oklahoma City making this deal. But I think the reason why they signed him long term is because he is a foundational piece, and I don't see them parting ways with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander just for some picks and to keep Mitchell Robinson around long term. So I don't think that this is feasible for the Knicks. I mean, it works for us, but I don't think Oklahoma City is willing to do this deal. And let's bring up some of these comments where a lot of people are going to talk about it. So I'm pretty sure that's what they want to get at. Building Root says Oklahoma City is not trading SGA. What's the next trade? Okay. Let's see. Isaiah Ellis said that's simply not happening. I agree with that. Tyrone Murph says, you're going to need more than that. Okay. You're going to need more than that to entice Oklahoma City to make that trade. I don't know if the Knicks have the pieces to actually do that, to sway SGA away from Oklahoma City. Like I said, he is their franchise player. And that says, I'm out. These trades are unrealistic. You don't have to be out. I probably have some trades that you do agree with, but I do agree that this one is unrealistic. And then Jay Beckton says, next SGA isn't leaving OKC. So pretty across the board. The fans don't think that's going to happen, and I don't either. Cassius Clay, I definitely appreciate the trade submission. Keep them coming, my brother. I definitely appreciate that. All right, this next trade comes to you, Andy. This one came through the Fanspo app. Someone sent it to you and asked you what do you think about it. And this is from Knicks Worldwide on Fanspo, right? So this one gives us Tyrese Haliburton, right? I know a lot of people talk about Tyrese Haliburton. We should have drafted him, X, Y, and Z. And this is a trade that comes from Knicks Worldwide. So he says the Knicks receive Tristan Thompson, who's on the final year of his contract, and Tyrese Haliburton for the point guard position, right? Who's a primary ball handler. The Kings will then receive Kemba Walker, which has to go in any type of point guard trade, in my opinion. Obi Toppin again, and then 2 first-round picks, one from this upcoming offseason and the Dallas pick. So, Andy, how do you feel about this one?
Yeah, Josh, this is a trade that's really interesting, but Question is, aren't we giving up too little for Tyrese Haliburton as far as the point of view as the Kings management, right? Why am I saying this? Listen, Obi Toppin would fit De'Aaron Fox perfectly. I don't think there's actually another power forward in the whole league that would fit De'Aaron Fox better than Obi Toppin. He's a rim runner, fast, you know, runs after a rebound or a steal. He's one of the first guys up, up the court, right? And De'Aaron Fox is is a fast guy. They could easily, play that pick and roll game with each other and those fast, ball possessions. Question is, the Thompson for Walker trade, I think that basically cancels it out. So it's number wise, and I think that's like you said, we would trade out Kemba because we're getting a point guard.
Right.
No, he on Fanspo, he's called a shooting guard, but I think he can play the point guard easily. Question is, so if the Kings are willing to take Obi and 2 first-round picks for Tyrese Haliburton, right? Listen, he's a first-round pick. He was picked, with Obi in the draft, after Obi even, but I think he was developed in the league a little bit better. That's why we would have to pay up for Tyrese with these first-round picks. The only thing that I don't like in this trade is that we are giving away the 2023 first round pick. And I don't care if it's, the Dallas pick or our pick. I think that draft class is going to be loaded. It's going to be loaded probably with players that are going to have high potential, but also going to be high risk, because that's the draft that the NBA is going to allow high school players to get into the draft. So the bust potential of those players that are going to get picked, even in the first and the second round, is going to be really high. But if the bust potential is really big, you can also have find a star in that draft, and even in the second round. So that draft, I would rather stick with as many picks as possible. Then again, we know that we're not going to be able to sign like 5-6 guys from that draft. So unless we go the second rounders are going to be unguaranteed contracts and are going to be stacked in the Knicks, Westchester Knicks, right, G League team. I don't see if Tibbs is going to be the coach after that season, if it's going to be possible even for us to have tens of rookies on the roster, right?
Right. Yeah, I agree, and that's something that's definitely a concern for me as well, which is why I don't think the Knicks are going to hold on to a lot of these draft picks. A lot of these guys, these assets are going to are tradable, essentially, right? But I do think this is a little bit too much for Haliburton. I think if we substitute that 2023 first round pick for probably a couple seconds or maybe just a second, I would be for this deal. Tristan Thompson's going to be an expiring contract. I think if he comes here to New York, I don't think he'll play that much, but you would just use him as an expiring contract. Someone go for the locker room. I think he is a championship player. He has rings, right? So I think Tristan Thompson will fit that kind of role. I don't see him getting major time down there though, unless due to injury, what have you, right? But of course, the key piece in this trade is Tyrese Haliburton. I'm all for bringing him here. I think there is a glut in Sacramento at their guard position. They have Davion Mitchell. They have De'Aaron Fox, as we all know about. So I think by relieving them off their books or off out of their situation, it kind of helps them a little bit. And I do think they can use a power forward right now. And Obi Toppin, I think, will fit with De'Aaron Fox pretty well. Obviously, if you're bringing in a point guard, Kemba Walker has to go. Right. And I think they'll take him on and he'll play in sort of a backup role. And I think, to be honest, any trade that includes Kemba Walker, he probably is going to get waived. He's probably not going to like the amount of playing time that he's going to get. And the other team's probably going to realize that and then waive him and then just go about it that way. As far as the first round pick, I think if because Haliburton's better than Obi at this point, I think a first round pick is what tips the scales a little bit and gets Sacramento to make this deal. But I wouldn't do 2 first round picks. I just think that's too much. And Queen's Court, shout out to Queen Steph. She definitely agrees with me from that standpoint. 2 first and Obi, that's a bit much for Haliburton. Tyrone Murph says, I like this one. All right. D-Nice77 says they're not trading Haliburton. I don't know. I don't know. I think there is a glut there in Sacramento. at the guard position. So I think they would definitely consider it if they can get some pieces back. And I think Obi in a first round pick should be good enough for them with probably a second or something like that. Andre Bryant says Tristan Thompson will replace old man Taj Gibson. I don't know.
He would be behind Taj, I think.
Yeah,
he would be exactly behind Taj.
Yeah, I think Taj is just Tibbs' guy. Tibbs loves Taj Gibson. George Jones asked a question. He says, "Does anybody actually want Obi Toppin?" I think Obi Toppin. I mean, listen, Knicks fans value him, right? You know, Knicks fans want Obi Toppin to play right away. He thinks he can come in and they think he can come in and replace what Julius Randle gives us. So, you know, it's either Knicks fans don't know what they're talking about in regards to that, or other teams who value him. So I guess we'll see. Nikki B from Harlem says 2 firsts for Haliburton with question marks. Yeah, I think that might be a little bit too much. And JJ31K45 says, yeah. Definitely trade Obi. He deserves a much better team and fan base. All right. While Falcon 44 says this is crazy. And yeah, that's pretty much it. All right. So let's get to the next trade. Thank you to Knicks Worldwide for that trade on Fanspo. We really, really appreciate that one. And let's get to the next trade, Andy. All right, this next one comes from SNY. So this is something that SNY posted for Knicks fans, probably Ian Begley or something like that. Probably threw this trade out there and put it on a SNY kind of letterhead. But we went ahead and put it in a Fanspo to see what people think about this. So this trade will give us Miles Turner. Obviously, I've always been on record saying that the Knicks need to stretch 5 or to stretch big to stretch the floor out. I really don't like the fit with Mitchell Robinson there. I think he just kind of clogs the paint. Not saying that Mitchell Robinson isn't valuable to what this team does. I think he really is. But particularly, for what the Knicks are trying to do offensively, I just don't know if it's the right fit. So that's why I'm all aboard about bringing Miles Turner in here. I know he's hurt, but I think if we can sign him to extend him, I think he will be a better fit. So the Knicks obviously will get Miles Turner in this trade. The Pacers will be receiving, again, Kemba Walker, Obi Toppin, and 2 second-round picks. So I like this trade, Andy. I really do like this trade. I know Miles Turner is hurt, but I think this opens up the rotation for a lot of guys to get some playing time in the short term. I think Indiana can use a player like Obi Toppin, right? I think Obi Toppin will be good for Rick Carlisle and those boys over there. And again, the common theme here is Kemba Walker and Obi Toppin. I think a lot of people realize that their roles in the rotation are basically limit a lot of other guys from getting playing time. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, Josh. This trade, I was thinking that there's no way actually, the Pacers would pull a trade for Miles Turner without getting a guy like Mitch Robinson. But when you look at it, their prize could actually be Obi Toppin. We know that they have Chris Duarte as their rookie, but he's also a rookie, but he's seasoned in the NCAA. The same thing that happened with Obi. So they might be looking to rebuild, but also have those guys, that they're not want to do it from scratch like an OKC team that they have like a tons of pick, but they also have players that can play at this moment, right? So, and listen, us having Miles Turner on the roster without giving up Nerlens Noel or Mitch Robinson might be even better situation to negotiate with Mitch, right? Because you got Miles Turner under contract, you're gonna have Nerlens on the contract, so depending how the situation will work out with the playing time, you can just tell Mitch, listen, we got already 2 guys that play defense, that are big men, that can stretch even the floor a little bit more. So, you can kind of handicap Mitch into taking a little bit less money if he wants to stay with the Knicks.
Right. I agree. I definitely agree with that. I'm more leaning towards, instead of including Kemba in this deal, we can probably get Nerlens in this deal just to try to open it up a little bit and get Miles Turner and Mitchell Robinson some playing time together. I think, I definitely think Miles Turner for this Knicks offense, I think he's a better fit than Mitchell Robinson. I'm sorry to say, I like Mitch, but again, just that ability to stretch the floor, I think that will open up the paint for RJ to do some work inside. That'll open up the work for Julius to do some work inside. And it'll definitely help us out. But I do agree that making a trade like this definitely gives the Knicks some leverage in regards to Mitchell Robinson. And, maybe there's a chance that Mitchell Robinson won't be here next year. I'm sorry to say, guys, but Mitchell Robinson, there's no guarantee that Mitchell Robinson is gonna be here. He's gonna accept the extension that the Knicks give him if they do decide to even give him an extension. And I think it's just based on the contract situation, having another center and Nerlens Noel on the roster that's under contract, that basically can't do anything else outside of the paint, right? So, yeah, I don't know. I like this trade. I definitely would definitely consider doing this. Only difference I would make is I would, instead of Kemba, I would put probably Nerlens in there or something like that. Nikki B
Yeah,
from
Josh,
Harlem.
and Josh,
No,
let
go
me chime in on this one. Listen, this can be a great trade if you have another move, for example, to send Nerlens somewhere or to send Mitch somewhere, like we did the
Right.
trade for Mitch for Jalen Brunson.
Right.
If you would pull that trade, then you make minutes at the center position open for Miles Turner, and they don't have to, there's no rivalry, like, cutthroat
Right.
rivalry, right? So everybody's happy because I'm not sure how neither of these guys would react if they would be benched. I think Mitch thinks that values himself as a starting center in the league, so I'm not sure how he would react if he would get benched just right after the trade. Then again, Josh, listen, Miles Turner, Mitch Robinson, and Nerlens Noel. If we could have two healthy at the same time, that might still be luck. So
Right.
I would be happy with having all three of them.
Yeah, I agree with that. My big concern in regards to Mitch and Nerlens is the fit on this current Knicks roster as far as what they do offensively, and just I'm not willing to pay $25 million to two centers who can't do anything outside of the paint. One of them has to stretch the floor. So, and that's the reason why, with me, with the Mitch's contract situation, that's why I'm kind of a little bit hesitant. But if we can pay Mitchell Robinson, I would say what Nerlens Noel is getting for him to come off the bench, I would like that as long as we have a stretch five out here. So that's just me. Nikki B from Harlem says Miles for OB and some second round picks. Do it today. Okay. Reppin' Old School says Indiana is not doing this. Okay. Kaiser Sose salute. He says I would send Randle in a second instead of Obi. This guy's just a Randle hater. Pretty much. That's pretty much what it comes down to. Building Root says he absolutely do this deal because Obi's not going to develop behind Julius. Okay. And Reppin' Old School says they can get more for Miles elsewhere. So I don't know about that because the Knicks have a lot of assets that they can be able to move. I mean, I think the team with more assets than the Knicks right now is probably Oklahoma City because they have so many draft picks, right? So maybe Oklahoma City can go ahead and make this deal, but again, I just don't know. I just don't know here. Let's see what else we got. Paxton says, "Bro, blocking shots as defense. What the f? Who said anything about Mitchell Robinson's lack of defense or anything like that? I never said Mitchell Robinson was
probably someone in the chat. That's a response.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah. Mitchell Robinson gives us defense, but I just think the skill set is unique, right? You got a guy who can block shots and stretch the floor. We haven't seen that kind of skill set since Porzingis, right? And the only thing wrong with Porzingis was, he had a terrible injury, and I think that kind of slowed him down in his career. Yes, I know Miles Turner is kind of injury prone. Like, I'm not taking that away from it, but if you can just get him healthy for 75% of the season, I mean, to me, I think that'll definitely help us out a lot. Building Root says as long as we don't give up a first round pick in this deal, then getting Miles shouldn't be that bad. However, you have to move Nerlens for a pick immediately after this trade. Nope, Mitch is gone if we make this deal. And I think that's what Andy was saying in regards to where these guys are going to how they're going to play. D977 says Noel's deal looks worse by the minute. Let's see. Najee Vianney Ford says Mitch is playing very good basketball. I agree. Again, that's just the fit for me. With Mitchell Robinson and Nerlens Noel, the Knicks offense, they struggle to score, right? They struggle to score. And I'm not blaming it on them specifically because I like what they give us. They're not offensive players. They're not going to score 20-something points per game. However, I just think the fit within the offense and why the ball seems to be stagnant is because the Knicks settle for jump shots. They can't get in the paint. And anytime they do get in the paint, Mitchell Robinson's guy or Nerlens Noel guy comes over and tends to double team. Look at the Atlanta series, right? The Atlanta series, that's exactly what happened. They gave Julius Randle the ball in the post, and then you had not Mitchell Robinson, but Nerlens Noel's guy basically come over to double team, and that's been the blueprint of how teams are defending Julius Randle now. So that's just how I feel about that. So let's bring up the next trade here, and this is the one I really like. This one is going to be from Minty Sports. Salute to Minty Sports. Shout out to him and his channel. Also follow Minty Sports on Twitter. I really like this trade that he proposed, and this gives us Jalen Brunson. This is something I would do right now. The Knicks obviously received Jalen Brunson in this deal, Moses Brown. The Mavericks would get Kemba Walker, Miles McBride, and 2 second-round picks. To me, this is a steal for the New York Knicks. But I'm going to have Andy comment on this first, and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah, I agree with you, Josh. This is basically a steal, and I love Miles McBride. But for Jalen Brunson and Moses Brown is a great potential, high potential center, right? And he signed for 4 years, so he's not to be complaining, for minutes. But he has potential to not be a maybe starting center, but he has potential to be a rotation player in the NBA. Like you said, listen, Kemba has to go on a trade for a point guard, or has to be moved if we receive a point guard in any of the other trade. And as much as it hurts my heart to move Miles McBride, but if he's going to be getting minutes as he's getting now, which is basically garbage time minutes and D League minutes, I don't think that he's going to get developed the way that Knicks fans expect him to be basically a rotation point guard in the next season, and a starting starting point guard in a couple of years. I don't think that's McBride's potential, but if he's not going to be getting minutes, it's hard to judge that.
Okay, Andy, I agree with that. Let's bring up some of these comments because a lot of people are kind of calling me crazy right now. Repanola School says this deal actually works on McBride. We're terrible at developing young players. So I disagree with that. I don't think that we're terrible at developing young players. I just think that McBride is not ready yet. He's not ready to be a starting point guard in the NBA yet. And now you have an opportunity to go out and get a starting point guard and Jalen Brunson. And I think Jalen Brunson will come in and fit immediately, right? Immediately, because he is a secondary ball handler. He doesn't need the ball in his hands to actually be successful, right? So I really like this. C-Biz says he likes his package, but maybe better off waiting until free agency. Yeah, that'll be nice, but we don't have the cap space in the offseason to go get a Jalen Brunson, right? So that's the reason why that's not going to work. L. Paul says, why would Dallas do that? I'll tell you why. Because Jalen Brunson is going to be unrestricted free agent, and they don't want to lose him for nothing. So if you have an opportunity to go out and get a Miles McBride and some picks out of it, I don't see any issue with bringing in Jalen Brunson or Mavericks, taking on this deal for Jalen Brunson, particularly if he's going to walk in free agency anyway. Right.
Yeah, and not to mention, Josh, that the Dallas are reportedly looking for a veteran point guard and a big man in a center position, right? So at least in this deal, they get a veteran point guard, and I think they were looking at Goran Dragic from the Raptors, but they're looking at him getting waived and just to sign him as a free agent. And I'm not sure that that might be the case with Masai Ujiri. I don't think he probably is on the lines talking about the deal that they could make, and the Raptors to get at least a young guy. But I don't think they're gonna give just wait up for a vet point guard like a Dragic. If they could get Kemba, I think that solves their situation. In case that Doncic is on the bench and they need a ball handler if they lose Jalen Brunson. So
I totally agree with that. And Vince Jackson, salute to you. He says, why are we not talking about the player that we need to trade the most? I need y'all to address a Julius Randle trade immediately. And Vince, that's exactly what we're going to do, because the reason why we did this, these first 5 trades, is because we reached out to people last week, told them to submit their trades, what would they do? And these are some of the submissions that they got, okay? Some of them good, some of them bad, some of them we would do, some of them we wouldn't do. But that's the reason why we're talking about this. But Andy, let's talk about Julius Randle. So, first and foremost, before we get into the whole Julius Randle, what will we trade for him talk, just give me your assessment on how Julius Randle has been playing lately. What do you think is going on? And just talk to me about Julius. How do you feel about him?
Yeah, well, we all saw that Julius isn't the same player that we saw, last year, right? And fans are gonna probably bash him all around. I think the opposite defenses really adjusted from day one in this season. That's why it's harder for Julius to work on the court. Probably putting in Evan Fournier and Kemba Walker and replacing Alfred Payton and Reggie Bullock, and that chemistry that was already there, because we got to remember that he was playing with Alfred for 3 seasons. after Alfred got traded, and with Reggie for 2, if I'm correct. So I think that's more about the current Julius Randle is more about the mental side of the game. I think him, just taking shots. He's strong, he's healthy, and stuff like that. That's all cool. He's not injured. I think the problem is in his head. I think he, is just maybe not teased by fans too much. I think he just plays with the fans a little bit too much. He should be concentrating on playing basketball, not about the chit chatter around the league, the chit chatter, or on social media. We know that Knicks fans are not going to be happy. Listen, Josh, I bet you that if he scored 40 points in a game and we will lose, people still would find a way to blame Julius Randle for that
Yep.
game. So I don't think he needs to realize that if he's gonna turn and play bad, he at least has to put in effort and play defense. And I'm not mad of him taking 9 shots because he's supposed to score 15, 20 points and he can't do it, by taking 9 shots. I'd rather him take 9 shots than take 20 and make one more than when he took 9 shots, right? So if it's not his day and he doesn't feel good on the court, I rather see him, try to facilitate like he did in the first quarter. He had 6 assists in the last game. Listen, on the other side, would I love him to score more points, get more rebounds? Of course I would, right? But if he, got us the win and he was the part of the team that got us a W, I'm cool with it. I don't care. He can average 6 points for me. If we're gonna be winning every game till the end of the season, I'm gonna be cool with it. If we're not going to make the playoffs, somebody's head has to roll. And at this point, I think, it's got to be one of the top heads. So it's going to be him probably, or Tibbs. But I'm not sure that Julius Randle is the only player that you can blame on this, bad stretch. And just Josh, going back to the trades that we were talking, we didn't see any fan posted a Julius Randle trade, right? Because
Right.
the episode that we had was on the 3-game winning streak.
Right.
I'm guessing that
Exactly.
after this episode, if you guys want, I would actually love to see your Julius Randle trades. Listen, we're going to be talking about probably a couple of ones, but you guys can use Fanspo app and the site and just try to trade them away. We're going to see what you can get for the Knicks, right? So
Yeah, I agree. Listen, definitely, guys. If you want to post some Julius Randle trades via the Fanspo app, please go ahead and do so. Me and myself and Andy are definitely looking forward to seeing what you guys have. And I said this before, Andy. I don't think that whole thing with the thumbs down was going to go away, because if the Knicks don't win games, people are always going to look for a scapegoat and look for someone to blame, right? I don't think Julius Randle lost us that ball game the other night. I don't think that was him, right? People are always looking for one guy to blame. I think there's a multitude of issues that are currently wrong with the team right now. Granted, Julius Randle's not playing well at this current moment in time. He's not. But we've constantly seen whenever Julius Randle is not playing, when he was out for those health and safety protocols, we could not score. We could not score. We barely broke 80 points in all 3 of those games, right? So, again, if you're going to trade Julius Randle, I have no problem with trading Julius Randle, but who am I getting back for Julius Randle? Who am I getting back that's going to, one, equate to the 19 and 10 that Julius Randle can give us, right? That's what he's averaging right now, 19 and 10. Who is going to be there to lead the team in points, assists, and rebounds? Maybe RJ Barrett takes a step to lead us in points, but who's going to lead us in rebounds? Who's going to lead us in assists, right? So, again, just trading Julius Randle just for a bag of cookies, that's not going to help this team advance to the next level, right? I understand he's not playing that well. Fans are not liking the way he's playing right now, and you deserve to show your frustrations. I'm not coming at you for that. But again, who are we going to bring back? To me, Julius Randle is still a major part of this offense, right? Himself and RJ Barrett, we need to continue to run plays through those guys, right? And I think that, everything eventually will work itself out. I think that the piece to bring Kemba in here really didn't help the situation, because Kemba needs the ball in his hand, right? So that doesn't help our offense. Our offense is not good at all. And I just think it's because the pieces do not fit well together. So I understand everyone's frustration with Randle, but please slow yourself down and slow your horses, because without Julius Randle, we will be back in the lottery. And I'm not trying to go back into the lottery and be just a terrible team again. Andy, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was gonna add that what we gotta think about these trades, because I see plenty of people just say Fox for Randall. We're gonna talk about De'Aaron Fox for Julius Randle, but you guys know Tibbs, and this is what maybe not bothers me, but I think about this before I try to pull a trade and just throw numbers or contracts around. This offense, the Knicks coach is Tibbs. We know that he's stubborn. He sets up his offense, and he tries to play it for weeks before he does an adjustment, right? If we're going to trade Julius Randle, which the offense is basically built around for the last 2 seasons,
3 seasons.
3 seasons, but yeah, but it's so heavily based around Julius Randle that if you're just going to trade him for any other forward, right? It's going to be hard for that guy to just step into the shoes of Julius Randle and tweak the offense around that. We're going to basically work, right? That's one thing. Not to mention trading Julius for a De'Aaron Fox. That's a totally different position. You got to make other moves, because if you just want to trade away Julius Randle and move who to the power forward position, Obi Toppin as your starter, that's I bet you that the next 20 games, if we get 5 W's out of 20, that's going to be a miracle if that trade happens. So listen, it's not easy. It's easy to do it through the trade machine, to just throw away contracts and numbers, but it's not easy to replace a player like Julius Randle. And I'm not saying that I love the system, because I don't. Only player that I would see that could fill in the shoes of Julius Randle for a trade, I think that it would have to be Domantas Sabonis. That's the only player that I could probably see pick up the whole offense in a week or two. But I don't think the Pacers would do a deal 1-for-1 for Julius Randle for Sabonis, unless we would add some picks, and that would make fans even less happy if we would trade Julius and like 2 first-round picks for Sabonis, because that would be a cutthroat thing for all the fans that like the rebuild through the picks through the draft. Then again, if we cut the ties with Julius, maybe that's gonna be the point that the pivot point in the whole season and the rebuild route that we are taking. But no, I think it's really harder just to trade Julius Randle and make it work than really fans think.
Yeah, Andy, and I totally agree with you. Again, fans are very, very frustrated with Julius Randle right now. I understand, I totally get it. But this comment right here from Celine, my man with the comment I have highlighted, he says, "We're in the lottery now." Yeah, we're in the lottery now, but we're also 4 games out of a 6 seed, right? So like everything is just the Knicks are still competing for a playoff spot right now. We've seen what this team looks like when they're at their best. Like, this season is not a lost season just because you don't like the fact that the Knicks are not doing better than what you expected, right? So just because of that, I'm not going to go sit here and blow it up and trade away our biggest or the most important part to our team right now. As of right now, I'm not going to trade him away just because the team is not doing as good as you expected, right? They just signed him to an extension. I think later on his contract would be tradable, right? It's a team-friendly deal. I'm not going to sacrifice Julius Randle just because he's not playing well this season. And I hate to mention to y'all, but he's still averaging 19 and 10 and leads the team in most offensive categories. So that's a major part of your team. You can't just trade away just because he's not playing, the type of basketball that you want him to play. I do understand that last season was was an admiration for Randle, right? He had his best season, right? He shot the ball great. But if you think about it, Randle's playing the exact same way he did last season as far as how he's playing, the style of play that he's playing, right? Isolation basketball and doing everything. The only difference is he's just not making his shots, right? That's the major difference. If Randle was knocking his 3-point shot, he'll have the same exact season that he had last season, right? So I think that people just need to relax about that. Let me highlight this comment from Kaiser Sose. Thank you for the super chat and for being around the channel and for tuning in. He says, "We're back in the lottery with Randle. I don't like Randle for Fox, but Randle's a stat pattern on a bad team. Think Kevin Love on the Wolves." I disagree with that, because this Knicks team is not as bad as people are making it seem to be, Like, just because we're not going to win 50 games or have that 50 burger that you guys thought we were going to win doesn't mean the Knicks are necessarily bad and at the level of like your Houstons and your Detroits and those kinds of teams. We're better than those teams, and we're still competing for a playoff spot, right? But that's going in the right direction. Prior to last season, we hadn't made the playoffs. What was it, 7 seasons, Andy? And I think we were averaging 20-something wins per season. The Knicks have 20 wins right now, and we're halfway through the season. So I just think people need to relax with this whole Randle thing. I understand he's not playing well, but just kicking him out and trading him and you know, to me, I just think that's too much as of right now. I'm not going to sacrifice everything just for this one season, and the season's not lost yet. I'm sorry to tell you guys that. So, Andy, I know you said that you were going to look up a trade Randle for Fox because people are talking about that.
We're gonna do that. I just want to leave, you know, like a response to the fans, because I see suddenly after, you know, a couple of weeks ago we had this, you know, chit chatter about trading Randle like the first time in this season.
Right.
But then that was like too long of a period that we still couldn't trade him. I think he's going to be available for trade on February the 3rd, if I'm correct. But
yes, a week before the deadline.
That, you know, I was saying that I personally, and it's because I, you know, rather have Domantas Sabonis' skill set on my kind of a philosophy built around the team than a player like Julius Randle. And I said it weeks ago. Now all of a sudden I see like several people like, just trade him for Sabonis 1-for-1. Listen, I'm happy that I have that kind of an influence on fans, but it's not that kind of easy, you know, just to pick up the phone, and the Pacers are going to be willing to accept Julius Randle after a stretch of basketball that they saw. So we would have to probably add something if the Pacers would like, you know, even to talk with us, right? But I still think that we're not in a rush to move Julius Randle. I still think as long as, you know, because I think, like I said, the problem is in his head. And if that's going to be fixed, we're going to see Julius from the previous season. I bet you that, because you see that his moves around the court aren't that bad. He's still better than, you know, the drive into the paint and do those spin moves, Julius Randle, that we saw the first season that he was here with the Knicks. But listen, I really think that it's mental. I don't know, go to a shrink, whatever, talk with him. Maybe there's some off-court troubles, and listen, that can affect several players. Imagine, for example, I'm not saying that this is news or something like that. I'm just stipulating this, right? Imagine that the newborn, you know, kid that he has some kind of you know, illness,
right?
And listen, his head can be more absorbed off the court than when he's playing on the court. And you can curse him out whatever you want. He won't be the same player if he's not going to get his hand back into the game. So I think, you know, this booze, thumbs down, whatever, that has to stop if we want to see Randle from last game. And I'm not saying just cheer him and, you know, sugarcoat everything for Randle, because, you know, he might be, you know, mentally a little bit off, right? But for real, I don't think this is going to help the situation. I think just letting it, you know, go for a couple of games, maybe he could get back on track. So.
Andy, listen, I'm not going to talk about what's in Randle's head and what's not necessary. I'm not going to speculate that. He needs to play better basketball, period, right? But even in the basketball that he is giving us, it's still, to me, right, like he's averaging 19 and 10, and he leads the team in all these categories. To me, that's a major piece of our team, and I'm not willing to let that go unless we're getting someone that's better than him, right? And Croatian Knicks, salute to Croatian Knicks, probably out there in Europe and Croatia. He says, UnclefOOlio is a Randle advocate. I'm a Knicks advocate. Right, I'm an advocate for the Knicks. It's not just for one player. I realize the importance of Julius Randle on this team, right? And I'm, you know, he's very important. I know he's not playing well right now, but when he was playing well, no one had anything to say about it. And how about when Randle was out for health and safety protocols, and the team was stinking it up, and everyone was calling the kids, "Oh, we don't got the right kids. Where is our foundation?" Right? So please stop with all this nonsense about me being a Randle advocate. This isn't politics. I'm a Knicks fan first and foremost. Randle can go, RJ can go, anybody on this team can go for the right trade. Okay, so please stop with that, with that nonsense. I want to highlight the super chat from Nikki B from Harlem. Let me see if I can get up here and find it real quick. Thank you for that super chat, Nikki B from Harlem. I can't highlight it right now, but Nikki B says Randle is better than Sabonis, and the Knicks have a better record than the Pacers, despite Sabonis being surrounded by better players. I agree with that, Andy. I know you're a big Sabonis guy. I like Sabonis, right? I'm not saying Sabonis is trash. Sabonis is a really good player, but to me, what Nikki B just said in regards to Sabonis is absolutely true. I don't think that Sabonis has necessarily better players around him. I just think that the players around Sabonis fit better, right? Because you have a stretch five and Miles Turner who can stretch the floor that allows Sabonis to go to work in the paint. If you bring Sabonis to the Knicks with Mitchell Robinson here, I don't really see how that is going to make the team better per se, right? I understand that Sabonis has a higher IQ than Julius Randle, but guess what? Sabonis has 7% less usage rate than Julius Randle and almost the same amount of turnovers, right? And this has been for the past few years, right? So I like Sabonis, but I'm just not willing to trade Randle for Sabonis straight up. I don't think that makes the team overall better, in my opinion. Z Diddy agrees with me. He says he can argue that Randle is better than Sabonis, and I agree with that. All right. And this is your comment right here from Nikki B from Harlem. Thank you again for the super chat. I really appreciate that. Guys, we got 539 people in watching right now. Please smash that like button, and please leave the comments in the comment section. I'm definitely going to check these out and definitely going to talk about some of them on the next show. Let's see. Rich Jim said Josh, aka UnclefOOlio, Randle averages 19 points, RJ averages 17 points, and that is an offense made for Randle. If the offense was tailored more for RJ, he would average more than 19 points. Yeah, I agree with that. But where would the team be? It's about the team for me. It's not just about RJ Barrett and one player. I'm worried about the team, right? So
I could, Josh, that comment. You know what I could say, right? If the offense would be tailored around Evan Fournier, he could be scoring 25 a game.
I mean, yeah, if you want to look at it that way, I mean, Andy can make that argument. You know what I'm saying? So, again, it's not about one particular player. It's about the entire team. And I think the team overall, the pieces just kind of don't fit with one another. And I think the front office realizes that. I don't think this team was built to win now, as many people say. I know people were excited for the Fournier move and the Kemba move. I think Fournier fits, but I don't like the Kemba move. I think Kemba, with his ball handling and his injury history, I just think that's really hurting the Knicks more than anything this season. Germ Warfare says Sabonis is mediocre. Randle is better than him. So I agree that Randle probably is better than Sabonis, but Sabonis is not a mediocre player. I really like Sabonis a lot. Sabonis can ball. Don't be sleeping on Sabonis. D977, if you think the Knicks are going to continue paying fines for Randle, you're bugging. Hey, listen, Randle, the Knicks is the one that got fined, not Randle, right? So the Knicks is, and James Dolan's a big PR guy. He loves manipulating the media, manipulating the PR situation in his favor. So I don't think that, necessarily it's Randle saying the one he doesn't want to talk to the media. I think it's the Knicks that are pulling Julius Randle from talking to the media, and that's the reason why they got fined. If not, you would see Randle getting fined, right? The Knicks are the team getting fined, not Randle. So, and Don DeVoe agrees with me as well that anybody can go. Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, and just going back to the fine situation, listen, the Knicks got fined because they covered and they said that they're not going to allow the media to talk to Randle, because I think they noticed the situation that's a little bit too much for the current, Julius Randle. And I think they did a good thing, because I really think that he needs a break. And I'm not saying, listen, just take a week of vacation at Clyde's spot on St. Croix. But I'm saying that, he just needs a break from all this. I think it's a little bit too big for him currently, but he can really get back on track really fast. So
yeah, I agree with you, Andy. I know you have a trade pulled up for Julius Randle right now. Let's show everybody what you're thinking and what someone.
Yeah, Josh, I got one before that. I got one pulled up for De'Aaron Fox, but
okay,
we are not giving up neither RJ nor Julius Randle.
Okay, so let us know. Show us what you got.
To show you, this one, and let's go for the full screen mode. So basically, the Knicks get De'Aaron Fox. They send to the 76ers Obi Toppin, Kemba Walker, and 2 first-round picks. And to the Kings, we send Alec Burks, which actually, listen, for De'Aaron Fox, I don't think maybe that one pick is a little bit too much, but those picks are also, protected. and I think they are needed in this 3-team trade just for the purpose that the 76ers are moving Ben Simmons. And in this trade also, like I said, 76ers are moving Ben Simmons to the Sacramento Kings, which is also rumored around the league. Meanwhile, the 76ers get from the Kings Buddy Hield and Harrison Barnes. And I really think that with these 2 first round picks, Harrison Barnes, Obi Toppin, and Buddy Hield can get into the rotation of the 76ers straight up right now. So I think this might be one of the scenarios that the 76ers would actually agree to trade Ben Simmons. We got to think that, like you said, Josh, before, the trade deadline is almost 3 weeks. I think it's even below 3 weeks away. So I think, the 76ers and Daryl Morey, they have to make a move, because if they don't trade Ben Simmons on this deadline, man, they are gonna look really bad as a management, as a front office. So
Right.
listen, as far as fans might think, I don't think we're giving up too much. Maybe we could get a couple of second round picks back in this trade from the Kings or stuff like that. But I really think that this might be one of the fairest trades for the Aaron Fox that we saw. What else would I love to maybe not love to think, I would think about? Does the Aaron Fox fit as a player for this system? Because if you're keeping RJ and Julius, having a fast point guard like De'Aaron Fox, when would Thibs adjust the offense to use De'Aaron Fox in a proper way? That's the question. Because if we're gonna just do this trade to wait for the offseason to then correct the offense, that might look as a bad trade, because De'Aaron Fox definitely won't be as productive as we saw him in the previous season. Because and also this year, De'Aaron Fox's numbers, they are really bad.
Right.
I'm not gonna lie, he's
Definitely
shooting
not
below
shooting now.
30% from
Shooting
three.
terribly. Oh yeah.
So yeah, he's shooting terribly. So in that aspect, he would perfectly fit the Knicks.
Yeah, yeah, Andy. First and foremost, so this trade is a 3-team, 9-player trade, right? So this is probably going to be very, very difficult to make, but it's definitely possible, right? So I'll just say that. My concern with Fox, and the big thing with Fox, if you're not giving up RJ or Randle in the trade, is to stagnation of the offense, because all 3 of these guys need the basketball, right? So De'Aaron Fox is a guard that needs to have the ball in his hands, kind of similar to Kemba, right? He's definitely an upgrade over Kemba, right? Because he has a better skill set at this point in his career. However, I'm just concerned about De'Aaron Fox having the ball in his hands, right? Now you got 3 left-handed guys, right? And the offense is being stagnated. That's my only concern with this. I think if you're talking for the Knicks' sake, you give up Burks, Obi, Kemba, and 2 first-round picks for De'Aaron Fox. I think on the surface, that's a good trade for the Knicks. I have no problem with doing that. My concern is the fit, particularly if you're going to have Julius and RJ there as well, and you continue to run plays for them as well. So that's my only concern with it. But I think it could make sense. I think that the Sixers definitely would consider this, because they're getting some pieces back and they're getting first-round picks in lieu of Ben Simmons. I think this is probably the best trade package that they can get in regards to the picks that they get and the immediate contributors that they get on their team in the short term. So I really, really like this trade. I think the Sixers will like this trade as well. And the Kings, obviously, they're bringing back Ben Simmons, who I think wants to go to California anyway and confer. So they're getting Simmons and Tobias Harris. So that's really good for them. So I don't have an issue with this. I do want to comment on Rich Jim's comment. He says RJ is a better playmaker than Randle. So if RJ got to play with a team without Randle, the team would be more successful. RJ didn't get a chance to play with Kemba or Rose and Mitch without Julius Randle. Successful RJ didn't get a chance to play with Kemba, Rose, or Mitch without Randle. What does successful RJ mean? What does that mean? When a team barely scores 80 points, where RJ scores his 20? Is that what this is about? You guys want RJ to be that guy when the team's still losing? What were you saying, Andy?
Yeah, that I was thinking that he said that RJ got to play with a team without Randle, the team would be more successful. And there should be an apostrophe whatever here with RJ didn't get the the chance to play with Kemba or D Rose or Mitch without Julius. Because when Julius was out those 3 games, I think RJ was the first game he was out. He played only like 2 games. So
right. And yeah, listen, I think I've seen RJ Barrett be successful with Randle on the floor, right? So all this blaming Julius Randle for RJ Barrett's, again, I just don't agree with that because RJ Barrett has shown that people will make these excuses for RJ Barrett. He shouldn't be playing the 3. RJ Barrett shouldn't be. It's too much pressure on a 21-year-old to do this and to do that, right? But we've seen him take that step and do all that stuff, despite everything else you guys have been talking about. And then when he does do it, everyone's like, see, Josh, I told you. But what are you really telling me? The whole time, everyone was making excuses. Oh, he doesn't need to play the 3. RJ Barrett can't do this. RJ Barrett needs to do this. And it's just like, no, that hasn't been the case. RJ Barrett himself needed to, as far as being more aggressive, he needed to get into that mentality of starting to take over more, and that's what he's doing. So, again, RJ Barrett's fine with Randle. They can play together. RJ Barrett is getting more of the touches. I just think if you add a third guy in there that needs to have the basketball in his hands, particularly at the point guard, you take those possessions away from RJ and away from Randle. And I think those two combined doesn't help the team, in my opinion. I would like a secondary ball handler at the point guard position instead of someone who needs to have the ball in his hand. Shout out to Kaiser Sose. He says Randle IQ to Portland. Randle and IQ to Portland in the 2021-22 first for Anthony Simons, Larry Nance Jr., Covington. Blazers to get the third scorer, and they keep Dame happy. Knicks get a point guard for the future. Anthony Simons. So I don't know if Portland's going to get rid of Anthony Simons. I just don't know if they're willing to do that right now. We've seen his potential coming up. Kaiser Sose, I don't mind the trade. Again, just because Randle's in it, that doesn't mean that I'm going to be necessarily against it, but I just don't know if Portland's going to be willing to do that and part ways with Anthony Simons. I just don't know. Larry Nance Jr., I believe he's expiring. I know Covington's expiring as well, so you get that. But again, this is not a step in the right direction for the Knicks, in my opinion. I think we get worse before we can even pretend to get better. Andy, any thoughts about this one?
Listen, I don't think the Trailblazers would do this trade even. I think they value Simons so much that I don't think that not to mention that I'm not sure that the salaries will work because Nance Jr. I don't think he's around 20 even. So I think that it might be hard for that trade to even go through. But I think they value him so much that the Trailblazers are thinking probably about scrapping the whole thing, and the only one that's going to be staying is basically Simons. I think that they need to move past Dame. They need to move past Nurkic. They need to move past McCollum even.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing the franchise player, unless they draft really really high, is going to be Simons. So
gotcha. And as you can see, some of these comments are mixed. Some of them saying this is ridiculous to do some sort of that sort of trade, and then Croatia Knicks likes the trade. So kind of a mixed review from the fans. There's also one more comment that I want to highlight here. I'm trying to find it. Someone mentioned something about a secondary ball handler. And shout out to Jay Boogie. He said Murray's the best fit for our team. I think he's talking about Jamal Murray. But I don't know if that's
DeJounte
Murray. DeJounte Murray. Yeah, I like that too. But we gotta let's talk about what we're gonna give up for him, Jay Boogie. Let me hear what you have to say. Here it is, right here. Sose Production says he disagrees with second ball handler at point guard. We've been doing that since Melo would happen nothing. So I think the difference in the Melo era compared to now is now the Knicks have two guys who they run the offense through, and Randle and RJ, right? So a point guard coming in here that is a secondary ball handler, I think fits right now. Before, when you had Carmelo Anthony, the entire offense was being run through Carmelo Anthony. He was only one guy. There was no other guy to step up and be that other ball handler to try to create something on the other side of the floor, right? And I think that's the difference. So if we had a primary ball handler back then at the point guard position, things would have been much better. But since we only had one guy on the whole entire team, that's, I think, where we ran into trouble. But hey, the Knicks scored a lot of points when they had Carmelo, right? I think they led the league in 3-pointers made that season when we went to the playoffs. So yeah, and that's the reason why I want a secondary ball handler on the team right now. So Andy, once again, thank you. I know we've hit our time limit. We definitely covered a lot. We talked about some trades that the people did last week. What do you have to say about a lot of this? If you want to give us some final words before we close it out here.
Yeah, listen, I hope we can do it again before, like, next week or Friday week or Saturday probably. I'm daring you, Knicks fans, NBK fans, couch GMs, go ahead, trade Julius Randle, send us the scenarios, the trade proposals from Fanspo. I would love that to, fill in my, inbox so we can just, talk about them the next episode. Listen, if you have a trade that doesn't involve Julius Randle, but gets us something, that you would love to see in this system, we're open. But, after these couple of, 3-game losing streak, I think Julius Randle might be the focus on next week's episode with these trade proposals.
And Lord help us, Lord help us if we lose tomorrow. That'd be 4 games at home. Oh my God, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. I do want to bring up Julius Randle's contract. So I know Isaiah said that, we paid him all the money after he had that 1 year, that fluke season or whatever, however he put it. And he said that the team basically shouldn't have signed him. But I'm looking at his contract numbers, and this, like, for the next 2 years, he's making under $30 million. Like, this is a team would take on this contract. This is not an albatross kind of contract, right? If you look at it, it's only an extension for 4 years, $117 million. The last year is going to be a player option, which he most likely will opt into, right? I don't see any reason why he doesn't opt in unless he feel like a team can extend him for more years, or the Knicks can extend him and have some stability for his family. But he's most likely going to opt into that last year, $32 million. This is not a bad contract. People nowadays thinking that if you make $20 million or $18 million a season, that you're getting paid top dollar in the NBA. No, Julius Randle is I forgot what ranking and the amount of money he gets paid, but he's not one of the top 30 paid players in the NBA right now. He's not. Maybe next season it goes up a little bit. He probably cracks the top 30, but Julius Randle's not. He's not getting paid superstar money. Now he's getting paid star money and number one option money. I would basically say that. But basically, for what Julius Randle gives us, his 19 and 10, leading the team in all of the offensive categories, this contract is worth it, in my opinion, right? And the Knicks basically took a chance on him, gambling that if he does get back to his all-star level, all-NBA level from last season, they would have him at a contract in which he's underpaid. But since he's not at that level, I think this is right on par to what Julius Randle should be getting, and he is currently getting. So I just want people to really understand that dynamic. But Andy, once again, thank you. I also want to thank the good folks over at Fanspo for allowing us to use their trade machine to talk about some of these trades. And for people out there in the comments, go check out the Fanspo website. I have a link in the description of this video where you can definitely go on there and go on the trade machine and do your couch GM things and let me and Andy know how you feel. Please, I want to see some Julius Randle trades. If you think there's something out there that you think can be done that'll help this team, go into Fanspo, trade Julius Randle. I want to see it. Please tag me and Andy on Twitter. Our Twitter, both of our Twitters are in the description of this video as well. Let us know how you feel, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't like what we have to say, or you think we're crazy, you think we're, all over the place, put it in the comment section. Let us know on Twitter, and we'll definitely address that on the next time we get on. So, Andy, I really appreciate you coming on. I look forward to doing this again. We'll probably do something again next week. I'm probably going to have 2 controversies next week, by the way. One with Andy, and then also Rob and Nick wants to get on. We're going to talk about the Knicks situation right now. And let's see if the Knicks are able to do anything. So, Andy, once again, I appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. We got over 530 people watching us right now. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let us know how you feel, ladies and gentlemen. This is your boy, UnclefOOlio, and thank you for tuning in for another episode of The Kontroversy. I'm out, ladies and gentlemen. Peace.